Good afternoon, everybody. How are you doing? My name's Gareth. Welcome to the Railbookers webinar. Hopefully you can all see that screen. The 7 of the most scenic train routes in Switzerland. First and foremost, I want to draw your attention just to the control bar on the right-hand side. There you'll see a little area that says questions. Now, please pop a little message in there and let me know where you are tuning in from today. Hopefully some of you are perhaps sat outside enjoying some of the last sunshine we'll get for the next couple of days. But also let me know that you can hear me okay and obviously see the screen. Everything's looking okay my side through the technology I have. But yeah, let me know where you are. Give us a wave. It'd be great to hear from you. Again, throughout the whole webinar as well, please make use of that questions area because I really want to hear from you. Essentially, I want to give you the information that you've come here for. Any questions you have, anything that doesn't make sense, anything like that, please do let me know. Good to hear from you, Patsy. Thank you, Jackie. Great to hear from you both. Right, let's get started. Okay, well, a few of you, thank you very much. Love to hear from you all. Glad you're doing all right. Good stuff. That's me, Gareth Jones. I'm the product and purchasing manager at Railbookers and Track Vacations. In a normal world, previously, I'd be out and about taking the trains, liaising with our hotel partners, putting these packages together, that sort of thing. So it's been a different role for me over the past few months. I've been thoroughly enjoying presenting these webinars. My appearance has changed slightly. I made the mistake of asking my wife to give me a quarantine haircut a couple of months ago, so I'm happy to say I'm growing it back a bit finally. It was a bit scary to start with. But anyway, less about me. A lot of you have found the control panel. That's good stuff. So yeah, please keep using the questions area. If any of you haven't before seen it yet, please do head over there and have a look at it. The little thing below the questions bit as well, a thing called handouts. If you click that, open that, you'll see a couple of PDF docs. Let's have a look myself. Yeah, there you go. The PDF docs about the maximum flexibility offer and a Switzerland flyer. But more importantly, there's a couple of free downloadable maps for you to download and print off or save on your tablet or your computer. Really quite handy for planning your holidays and things like that, and quite good fun. So there's a Switzerland specific one and a European rail map as well for Europe as well. For those of you who aren't familiar with Railbookers, and I appreciate some of you may have kind of been with us before or know who we are, but for those of you who are new to us, what do we do? Who are we? All of our packages are inclusive of confirmed seat reservations, so we have access to all the train throughout Europe and the rest of the world, generally before they're made available to the general public, so we can get in there and get those seats reserved and the best seat reservations. Sightseeing activities, all of our packages include some form of activity or sightseeing activity in each destination. A lot of the time, I mean, great things like kind of Italy's a great example here, I think. If you go to Rome, the Colosseum, for example, rather than being stood outside queuing for hours on end, our tickets will include skip the line facility. So you just skip the line. You're not, you're maximizing your time in the destination. You're not worrying about having to queue for hours and hours and hours. Hotels, of course, our holiday packages include train travel, hotel accommodation. So we have a great selection of hotels in every major destination, ranging from 3-star up to 5-star. Of course, one of the great things about traveling by train is you're arriving into the center of the city most of the time. A lot of the time, the hotels will be within walking distance of the station, which is obviously very helpful. If not, we can obviously advise you the best way to make the connection via public transport or provide you with a private taxi to pick you up and escort you to your hotel. But again, the packages will include hotel accommodation, flexibility in terms of customizing our packages. You can choose a selection of hotels. You can say, I'd rather stay at this hotel, I'd rather stay at another hotel. We can give you some options. You can advise off a particular hotel you'd like to stay in. We can look into it for you. Again, ranging from 3-star up to 5-star. Ferries. So, of course, we're going to look at some Swiss holidays today. We've got some brilliant kind of ferry journeys or lake cruises here. Lake Geneva, Lake Lugano, particularly. You're heading down into Italy, and Lake Lucerne. We'll have a look at some great packages around Lucerne shortly as well. But some really lovely lake cruises, but not just the sort of day trips as well. Overnight ferry journeys. Looking up to Scandinavia, for example, Stockholm over to Helsinki, package that as well. We've got some great ferry journeys around the up to Alaska on the western seaport of Canada as well that we include in our packages. Excursions in Switzerland, again, we're going to look at some great mountain excursions, kind of cable cars and cog railways to the top of the mountains, but even things as far afield as in Poland, for example, Krakow, to Auschwitz and the salt mines, a very popular day trip, or the lavender fields in Aix-en-Provence. They're only in blossom or harvest 2 or 3 months a year. We're able to organise kind of day trips out to see those and experience these things when you're there. And overnight rail journeys, really exciting way to travel. Around about 10, 15 years ago, a lot of the rail operators in Europe decided these sleeper trains weren't making them any money, so they withdrew them all. Now, thankfully, they're bringing them all back, which is great. It's been a big revolution of sleeper trains in Europe, and a lot of lines are coming back, which is fantastic. I mean, not just for the excitement and the adventure, but also the practical side of things. You can the distance you can travel without worrying to having to pay for a hotel for the night. Arriving into the city in the morning, you're really maximising your time there. And of course, in terms of this new world we're entering now, where social distancing is something we really have to focus on. I think private cabin, so you've got your own private cabin. So you're not not sitting with anybody else or anything like that. You're not sharing a cabin. Breakfast is delivered to your cabin for you in the morning before you disembark as well. Also, looking further afield, not just in Europe, the US, for example, our sister company Amtrak Vacations, some amazing scenic 2 or 3 night journeys across the US with some breathtaking scenery. Why do your customers love Railbookers? Bucket list experiences for special occasions, not just the sort of luxury trains, but some amazing itineraries, some amazing destinations. Freedom and flexibility, it's all independent travel. You're not traveling as part of a group, so you don't have a leader with you. And the scenic way to travel, of course, traveling by train, you get to see the scenery. From 2 days to 2 years, our holidays go anytime, any day, anywhere. They do. We are guaranteeing package prices out as far as 2 years in advance from today. So looking 2022, if you want to get something on the cards to look forward to, we can do that and guarantee the package price. It's a very small deposit, first and foremost, and then the remaining payment is not due until 3 months prior to the trip. So you've got a long time to wait and look forward to your trip. But also saying that, looking shorter term as well, we can put together a package and get tickets and get you on your way within 2 days. Which I think is really kind of interesting to think about nowadays, now that the world is opening back up. I'm glad to have to say that Switzerland itself, a lot of the sort of the scenic trains and the mountain railways, etc., have said we're opening up 8th of June, so they're going to be open the end of this week. So it's great. So we are able to travel. We're going to be able to travel at the end of this year as well. It's great to know that Railbookers, we can put those together at such short notice. Selection of hotels to choose from, we touched on that, and all itineraries are customizable. This is one of the reasons we take all bookings over the phone, just so that one of our experienced travel consultants is able to discuss all the options with you, make sure that that trip is exactly to your requirements, exactly what you need. It's in a way, they're kind of pre-packaged packages, but they are tailor-made to exactly your own requirements. Just to touch on maximum flexibility offer we have in place, essentially, any new bookings, when I say a new booking, I mean just a deposit paid, from now up until the 30th of September will be covered by this. So essentially change the date of travel up to 5 days prior to departure without incurring any change fees, so that we don't add on a change fee or anything like that. Wherever you are in the world, you'll have an emergency number to contact one of our staff. We have an office in London, just north of Boston, a place called Beverley, not Beverley, Yorkshire. I'm based in York myself, so I always get confused. Toronto, Canada, Laguna Hills, just south of Los Angeles, and Sydney, Australia. So wherever you are in the world on a Railbookers holiday, you'll be able to contact a member of staff in any emergency, any problems you have, anything like that. We'll have access to the same system 24/7. You can get hold of us. This is one of the maps that you've got on the download bit on the handouts. That's the European rail map. Think of all those lines as being a different sort of rail operator. It's very hard to piece together a sort of rail holiday, which might be covering 1 or 2 or even 3 separate countries. We take the mystery out of rail travel. We have sort of insider knowledge. We have direct partnerships with these, plus every other pretty much direct rail operator throughout the world. Again, we have access to these fares before they're made available to the public. Key to note here as well, we're going to look at Switzerland predominantly, which is the middle one, SBB. Couple of bits of news. Via Rail Canada, the Canadian rail operator, they are not running any overnight trains at all until the end of October. Just simply the Canadian states can't get on with one another and decide how to do it. So they've basically said, right, no sleep trains at all across Canada. And NSB in Norway, very similar to Switzerland as well. You know, some amazing mountain scenery. Norway have essentially closed their borders until the 20th of August. So we were thinking about heading off to Norway in the next couple of months, and sadly we're not going to be able to get in. Now, talking about the rail operators, obviously we've been in kind of close contact with them over the past few months in terms of what it's going to look like traveling by train in the new world. How are rail operators maintaining a safe environment? Well, pretty much all of them, of course, are requiring facial coverings in stations and on trains for passengers and staff. Stopping the sale of food and drink on board trains. So in Germany, I've heard Deutsche Bahn will be keeping their buffet car open, so you'll be able to go and get a coffee and things like that in Germany. But most other places, there's no food and drink available. In Italy, for example, everyone boarding one of their high-speed trains, Frecciagentos, for example, the high-speed trains between the big major cities. Anyone boarding is given a little kit, and in that kit there is a face mask, covering to put over the head of your seat, some hand sanitizer, so every passenger will get one of those. Changing seat configuration allocation on board to allow for social distancing. Generally, on whole, all rail operators are, sorry, Joe, sorry, I do apologise. I do think I babble on a bit too much. I do apologise. I'll try and slow down. Changing seat configurations and allocation on board to allow for social distancing. Generally, rail operators are saying that they are going to be running around about 50% capacity to start with, meaning that the trains are going to be half full, just so that they can ensure that everyone is safely spaced away from one another. Now, this is going to be much easier for traveling in first class. Of course, first class, the trains generally have, rather than 2 and 2, 4 seats across the carriage, there's 1 and 2, so 3 people across the carriage. So social distancing will be much easier in first class, and of course we can look at those fast first class upgrades. We've just heard, though, an email from SNCF in France, who said that the government will be allowing them to run at 100% capacity. So in France, we may be seeing that change slightly over the next few months, but at the moment, rail operators pretty much globally are saying 50% capacity. Increased cleaning and sanitation. So not just at the end of every journey, but throughout the journey as well. There's going to be staff on board going to run at the up-to-date cleaning throughout the whole train. And contactless ticket control. This was pretty much in place beforehand anyway, and we have all those connections with the rail operators where it's not a physical ticket that you're handing over to the guard or anything. It's just a sort of a contactless ticket on your mobile phone or an email or something that you can show them. We know because we do. Every year, all of our staff go on a trip, not just one trip, but various different trips, one of our holidays, just to experience what we do. And it's where we've got some of our best feedback from as well, just in terms of updating and kind of improving our holidays. These are just some images of the guys in Switzerland. And there's the other map that you can download on the handouts bit, the Switzerland by train made easy. That's very kind of rudimentary, simple map. There you go. And you've got the key, the big players in terms of scenic rail for Switzerland here, the GoldenPass, Glacier Express, Bernina Express, but also some of the key destinations as well, Zermatt, Interlaken, Lucerne. Glad we got the Simplon Pass mentioned there. We're going to look at that shortly. Great route into Italy. And Locarno to Domodossola, the Centrovali railway. It's that first image we saw at the start of the presentation, Centrovali. It's an amazing little private railway that goes from Locarno through to Domodossola, so northern Italy, southern Switzerland, northern Italy. Beautiful. That's some kind of tiny bridges you go across and things like that. But let's have a look at some holidays. Switzerland's Lakes and Mountains, probably our best-selling Swiss package. It's great length, just 5 nights, 6 days, starting from just under £1,200 per person. That includes the cost for the flights, the train travel in Switzerland, hotel accommodation, breakfast, always with hotels included as well. Well, I say always, I should stop there. Maybe something which hotels will be looking at in this new world we're going to be looking at is how we're actually going to manage breakfasts and things. So at the moment, all the rates include breakfast. You can take the train. You don't have to take the flights. Train travel to and from Switzerland is very easy. You go from Paris, a direct TGV to Geneva, and Lausanne, Basel, and Zurich, and once a day to Bern. You could take the train to Geneva and then the train back from Zurich, but it's more economical to fly. This one, so we're flying to Geneva, and then from Geneva Airport, there's a direct train, really kind of scenic regional train. They leave it one about every 20 minutes, half an hour, goes around Lake Geneva to Montreux, overnight in Montreux. Glorious city, as everyone, if you've never been, absolutely lovely, really, really lovely. It's not just about the jazz festival, but the actual surrounding countryside, the vineyards, really steep vineyards on the side of Lake Geneva. Very, very pretty. Literally 15-20 minute walk around the lake from Montreux. You're in Chillon Castle, the beautiful sort of fairy tale castle on the lake as well. Really lovely place, Montreux, to spend a couple of nights and have a full day. But with the package as it is, overnight to Montreux, and then you board the GoldenPass, which we'll have a look at in a moment, up to Interlaken, 2 nights in Interlaken, around the heart of the country. That full day, you've got a journey up the Jungfraujoch, the highest railway station in Europe. One of the great day trips in Switzerland. It really is. It's a journey of sort of 3 different trains up a mountain and 3 different trains back down a mountain. From the top as well, you can see as far as France, Italy, Germany on a clear day. There's a great glacier at your feet. It really is breathtaking up there. And each train, it said it's 3 train journeys up, each one getting steeper and steeper in gradient, the last one actually going through the mountain and then back down again. You route it coming down via Lauterbrunnen, and you get an amazing view, a beautiful, huge, great waterfall coming down as well. There are 3 mountain railway experiences in Switzerland where you're guaranteed snow at the top of the mountain all year round. It's the Jungfrau. It's a journey called Glacier 3000, which has this enormous great sort of suspension bridge between 2 mountain peaks as well. It's just outside of Gstaad. And the other one is Mount Titlis, which includes a revolving gondola ride to the top of the mountain as well. It's amazing. Anyway, I digress a bit. After your 2 nights in Interlaken, you're going to take the Glacier Express across to Chur, the oldest town in Switzerland, heart of Graubünden, beautiful little kind of local canton in the southeastern corner of Switzerland. A day trip on the Bernina Express into northern Italy, Tirano, and then back to Zurich for your flight home. So the 3 main sort of scenic train journeys here. We've got the GoldenPass, which is from Montreux. It's the GoldenPass. It is 1 train, but it's the GoldenPass line is considered to the 3 different lines. So it's Montreux to Zweisimmen, Zweisimmen to Interlaken, and Interlaken to Lucerne as well. What we're doing here is from Montreux to Interlaken. The inserted image there that looks like a sort of old British Pullman carriage, that's the classic GoldenPass, where there's only 1 train a day. It looks wonderfully kind of vintage and things. It's not. They were built in around 2010, I think. Very modern. They've got USB plugs and things, but really, really comfortable. That's first class actually in the classic. The rest of the time, throughout the day, it's the panoramic GoldenPass, which is the modern train and the big image, essentially with kind of panoramic windows and things. Really lovely. You can tell from that picture, you can tell what the scenery is like, and it is very much like that. You know, you're not passing through snow-covered mountain peaks, but you've got a beautiful panoramic view of beautiful snow-covered peaks. You've also got these green pastures. This is the area of Switzerland where you get the best cheese and the best chocolate. So you can imagine it's kind of rich farmland, the sound of cowbells everywhere you go, that sort of stuff. Really interesting, that kind of the commentary on the train, so it tells you where you're stopping, where you're going through. It kind of changes from French to German halfway through, because that's where you cross into the border, into the next canton, which is German speaking. So really interesting on that side of things. The next train, the Glacier Express, probably the most well-known of the trains, I'd say. It talks about itself being the slowest express train in the world. It takes 8.5 hours, its full length, from Zermatt to St Moritz from West Switzerland all the way across the eastern canton. We take it from a place called Brig, which is just over halfway. So it's about 5.5 hours you've got left on here. It's the most scenic part of the journey, really. As the name suggests, you're passing through glaciers, you're going over mountain passes. The train doesn't run at all in November, so between midway through October till middle of December, the train simply doesn't run. All the others run throughout the year, so GoldenPass and the Bernina Express. Glacier Express doesn't, just due to the passes it has to go over. First class and second class available, no meals included either, but you can order on board. You can also pre-book, but pre-booking, you're getting this, you're only getting one option to pre-book, whereas you're on board, say, pay the same price. You've got a choice of what you eat on board, so it's worth waiting you're on board, but you get a glass of wine, a nice kind of lunch, and some spectacular views. But then there's my personal favorite, the Bernina Express. I'm kind of say this, I met my wife on this train around 13, 14 years ago now. But I would put it at the top in terms of the most scenic train journey in Europe, and I've taken quite a few of these journeys, to be honest with you. You start off in some of the highest mountains in Switzerland. You're going over the Landwasser viaduct. I'm sure you've all seen images of it, but if not, have a look at Landwasser. Huge, great viaduct. You're going over the Brusio viaduct, which is like a corkscrew, a spiral going down. The train really slows down to go over this. If it didn't, it would be referred to as a roller coaster, not a train. But it's really spectacular. Get some great photos of the kind of the train circling around as it goes down. You're passing crystal blue alpine lakes, really gorgeous, and then you drop down to this green, actually kind of lush palm trees as you start coming down valley into Tirano in northern Italy. And you have about an hour and a half, 2 hours stop over here. It's very small Tirano. It's got a nice old church looking. It's also got a couple of great pizzerias to have a pizza and a glass of wine or two before you jump on the Bernina Express train and head back again. Now, a lot of people do say, why am I doing it, and why am I doing it the same way on the way back? It's very different in terms of the scenery and the light in the different part of the day. It really does take on a different personality. So it's really lovely doing it as a day. It's one of the nicest days you can spend traveling by train, to be honest with you, just kind of down to Tirano and then back again. Next, there's Scenic Switzerland. So Scenic Switzerland's a bit longer. It's a bit longer. And again, you've got the Bernina Express, you've got the Glacier Express, you've got the GoldenPass. It's also introducing a couple of new destinations: Zermatt, St Moritz, Lucerne. Also a couple of additional mountain excursions as well. So the Gornergrat and Mount Pilatus from Lucerne. So just under £2,000 per person, with a return flight into and out of Zurich. Again, if you'd rather take the train, no problem. We can do that quite easily. From Zurich, direct train from the airport through to St Moritz. 2 nights in St Moritz, and it's a shorter day trip, excuse me, on the Bernina Express, but still the same great scenery. And then the full length of the Glacier Express. So from St Moritz to Zermatt, enjoying the full length of it. 2 nights in Zermatt. Here you get to take the Gornergrat Cog Railway, with probably some of the best views of the Matterhorn Mountain. Excuse me, I do apologise. The Gornergrat Railway, Cog Railway, 32 minutes up, 32 minutes down. Spectacular views of the surrounding landscape and the Matterhorn Mountain, of course. To Lausanne, overnight in Lausanne. Lausanne, often underrated. The smallest city in the world to have a metro system. the headquarters of the Olympic Committee. It's got the Olympic Museum, which is wonderful, one of the best museums I've been to. David Bowie and Imam married there in the 80s. Take the Golden Pass up to Interlaken and then carry on the full length of the Golden Pass line up to Lucerne. 3 nights in Lucerne, and then when you're in Lucerne, you come down to Interlaken for 1 day for the Jungfrau day trip, and then you take another day on Mount Pilatus, which is just outside of Lucerne. So looking at the destinations, Interlaken, in between 2 lakes. That's why it's called Interlaken. It's in between Lake Brienz and Lake Spitz. It's a great base for exploring the area. It really is. You've got the little alpine villages of Grindelwald, Lauterbrunn, Wengen, just a short train journey up the mountain in either direction. So a great base, any of those really, to kind of stay for 4 or 5 nights and enjoy maybe a bit of walking or just little day trips out by train. Zermatt, big ski destination, no cars, so pedestrian friendly as well. It's all kind of dominated by the Matterhorn above. St Moritz, of course, famous for the glitz and glamour of previous years. I've never seen so many fur coat shops in one place. But again, actually not as kind of inexpensive as many people might consider. And all the time, really gorgeous down by the lake as well, particularly in springtime. And Lausanne, as mentioned as well, lovely lakeside setting, quite steep coming down to the lake, but again, the metro system makes it easy. And the actual downtown itself, the centre of Lausanne, is gorgeous, dominated by this huge, great Gothic cathedral. Really lovely. Just have a look at those mountain railways that we've included here. So you've got, as I said, you've got the Gornergrat, which is the highest open air railway in Europe. So 32-minute journey up. There's a train leaving every 20 minutes and you don't need a reservation on this. So you just go and take the train whenever you want. Up you go. Up there, you've got great views across, as I mentioned, the Matterhorn, but the land around. There's a lot of walking up there as well, some easy trails. And you probably see some wild ibex and marmots up there as well. You know, that sort of beautiful wildlife zone up there. The Jungfrau, I touched on it already, but you can see the difference in terms of the scale of things. You see, that's one of the first trains going up to perhaps Grindelwald, for example, at the top with the green fields. That's the peak itself with a sort of observational observatory dome. On the summer, you can go out for a walk on the glacier. During the winter, you just simply can't. There's a bar and restaurant up there. There's a restaurant at the top of the Gornergrat as well, so you can have lunch up there as well. But yeah, 2 great days. And then the other day trip here as well, it's Mount Pilatus. So Mount Pilatus you take from Lucerne. During the summer, the day trip here involves a ferry journey from Lucerne around Lake Lucerne, a little place called Alpnachstad, and then you take the cable car. No, you don't. The cable car, the cog railway. Blimey, I did it myself in December. The cog railway up to the top of the mountain. It's the steepest cog railway in the world, so it does get very steep at times, but great ride, great fun. At the top, there's a restaurant, there's a bar. Again, there's some little walking hikes you can, short walks you can do. There's a hotel up there as well, which we work with. So if you really wanted somewhere very special to stay for 1 night, for example, you could spend the night at the top there in Pilatus Calm Hotel. The sky up there at night is something to behold. It really is. It's like the stars are being dangled down like light bulbs from the sky. Truly breathtaking. Of course, during the day, the view is amazing itself as well, being able to look at Lake Lucerne across the Alps. But yeah, wonderful place to be at Mount Pilatus, and it's a great journey up there. Coming back down during the summer, you come back down the other side of the mountain, which is the cable car. You see the gondola there. It goes down to a place name I can't remember, where you change onto a cable car and that carries on down the mountain. So during the winter, sadly, the old cable car, the cog railway can't run. So during the winter, the only way to access it is up the gondola cable car side and then back down the same way. But still, a huge adventure, very comfortable, great fun, amazing views, but sadly just no cog railway action. And Lucerne, one of my favourite cities by far, to be honest with you. Absolutely gorgeous, really in the heart of Switzerland. You can get pretty much everywhere in Switzerland with a journey of an hour and a half, really easily. You've got that ancient wooden bridge, which is very much sort of highlight. You walk out the station, there's this medieval wooden bridge. The old town on the other side is full of sort of taverns and restaurants and things, very kind of medieval Germanic feel to them all, but really, really lovely. Here you've got Lake Lucerne. So you've got Lake Lucerne, okay? You can go to Mount Pilatus, there's other Mount Rigi, which is called the Queen of the Alps. So it's the oldest railway, mountain railway in Europe, I think. But again, equally as amazing views. You can go down to Lake Titlis, experience that rotating cable car as well that goes up to the top of the mountain. But Lucerne itself is the best base to experience these mountain railways from. It's also got a great transport museum as well, which is really impressive, but you'd be too busy being amazed by the surrounding mountains and the landscape. During the summer, you can swim in the lake, have a lovely dinner cruise on the lake as well. Yeah, really lovely, Lucerne. Next, something a bit shorter. So the classic Glacier and Bernina Express, just 4 nights in total, just to get those 2 key journeys in there, Glacier and the Bernina Express. You've also got the Jungfrau included as well. Starts with the train out, so London to Paris, change stations in Paris. It's 2 stops between Gare du Nord and Gare de Lyon on the metro. Of course, we can provide a private transfer for you as well, so somebody will meet you on your arrival and escort you in your own private car between the 2. Down to Basel, change of Basel, and then take the direct train to Interlaken. You've got the Jungfrau included as well, and the Glacier Express, and the Bernina Express, and the flight back, just under £1,500 per person. Now, of course, Switzerland itself has some absolutely amazing rail journeys, but to get to elsewhere, traveling through Switzerland is a joy in itself as well. We've looked at the Bernina Express day trip. Now, of course, you're in Italy, you can continue from Tirano onto Milan. There's a direct train every couple of hours. Not the greatest train. It's not the nicest train, shall we say, in inverted commas. But it's not a panoramic train, but it's still a direct train, so you can get there. London, Paris, Zurich, underrated, really is. It's worth spending some time in Zurich. You'll hear me say it a lot, but lovely old town, really does have a lovely old town. Of course, you've got the lakeside setting there, some amazing art galleries, of course, as well. Early start from Zurich, down to Chur, board the Bernina Express down to Tirano, have a pizza, jump on the train to Milan. Star Hotel Anderson, just outside of Milan station, really convenient, lovely 4-star hotel. Overnight Milan, enjoy breakfast. The next morning over to Venice, 3 nights in Venice on the Grand Canal. Included small group tour of the Doge's Palace and Golden Basilica in Venice. Key things to do in Venice if you really want to understand the Venetian Republic and the history of the Doge. If you haven't been to the Doge's Palace, truly breathtaking in terms of the interiors and how well preserved it is. And then a flight back. Now, Milan is the gateway to Italy via railway, basically. So you could interchange Venice with Rome, Florence, Bologna, going down to the Amalfi Peninsula, even going down to Sicily. Easily done. And something less expensive, still equally as rewarding route is the Simplon Pass. So here, train out, this time to Geneva, direct train from Paris to Geneva. Get great views of the Jura Mountains, so even got a lovely bit of scenery on that line as well. Overnight to Geneva. Early start in the morning, so it's a good job we've got the Cornavin Hotel, which is just over the road from the station in Geneva. Really convenient, well-priced 4-star hotel. The train is direct from Geneva to Venice. Goes via the Simplon Pass, which is a great route just crossing the border into Italy. Skirts Lake Maggiore, skirting Lake Garda as you come into Venice over the bridge into Venice Island, Venice proper. 3 nights here, including the walking tour and gondola tour, and there's things that you should do when you're in Venice. Get your bearings with the gondola ride. And then a flight back, $859 per person. If you want to take the train back, Turin would be a great route to do it. So direct train from Venice to Turin, overnight in Turin. Not just famous for the Shroud, but a really kind of foodie city, Turin. Direct TGV up to Paris and then Paris to London. Again, that route from Geneva to Venice, that train passes through Milan. So you get past Lake Maggiore. If you come into Milan, you can go anywhere down to Rome, down to the Amalfi Coast, to Lake Como, Lake Garda, even as far as Sicily. That gives you an idea of the scenery on the Simplon Pass as well. You're coming out of the big kind of mountains, but you're still sort of in the foothills as such, and glorious scenery. And then looking to go the other way over to Austria, often kind of caught up in Switzerland's shadow when it comes to alpine scenery, Austria, sadly, but it's equally as rewarding, particularly this journey, the Arlberg Pass, again, really historic rail route from Zurich through to Innsbruck and Salzburg. Zurich, Salzburg and Vienna. This one train out overnight Zurich, 2 nights Salzburg, 3 nights Vienna with the flight back. The best route back would be via the sleeper train from Vienna to, well, actually, quite interestingly enough, that sleeper train now goes directly through to Brussels 3 days a week, I think it is. So you haven't got to worry about changing trains in Cologne. A really lovely way to do it. Again, giving you pretty much 3 full days in Vienna because the train doesn't leave until 7 o'clock in the evening. You can also, on that sleeper train, there are a couple of deluxe cabins which have ensuite facilities as well. So there aren't many of them. They said there's only a couple, and the upgrade cost isn't much either. It's really not. It's around about £20 per person to take the deluxe compared to the normal. So it's certainly worth it, but really quite an adventure as well. As said, yeah, the Arlberg Pass, really historic route and truly spectacular, coming through some of the kind of rich ski land. St Anton am Arlberg, really kind of ski hub in the Austrian Tyrol, kind of passing through their amazing mountain scenery. Well, I hope all that's kind of whetted your appetite a little. I really do. Which countries are you currently interested in? Of course, a lot of you tuned in for Switzerland, so I'd imagine Switzerland's high on the list, and so it should be. That image there for Switzerland, that's Basel, believe it or not, or Basel, I should say. Really, really, really gorgeous. Again, I'm going to say it again, lovely old town. And it is a truly lovely old town, really authentic old town. In the summer months, that river is packed full of swimmers, people swimming as well. So people from Basel go to work with this big kind of waterproof bag with a big strap on it. And then in the evening, they'll swim with all their stuff in this big waterproof bag in the river. But yeah, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. My last trip before lockdown was in Spain. I was in Cordoba and Seville, and then I went up to Porto, actually, in northern Italy. Amazing, such rich history, so many different colours, beautiful food, just the food is to die for. And Italy, it's so good that Italy is kind of opening up as well, finally, after all the problems there, etc. Scandinavia has been really popular over the past sort of few months for us. A lot of inquiries and bookings coming for next year for Scandinavia particularly. We've got a lot of stuff in Norway, which we're looking forward to opening back up. Norway, in a nutshell, you go up to Bergen, the Flam Railway, one of the most scenic railways in Europe again. And Canada, yeah, Terry, I absolutely appreciate Canada as well. It's so rewarding. It's such a shame that it's going to close, but close until end of October. That's basically the sort of the season gone, so to speak, for the Canadian Rockies, when you can do sort of day trips and things and see the highlights of the Canadian Rockies. But yeah, some wonderful, wonderful packages we have in Canada. I mentioned Alaska earlier on as well. We do have some holidays in Alaska now. Something to look forward to over the next few years, perhaps. These are some nice things that people have said about us, which is great. I think the key thing that people always highlight about us is how easy we make it. I think it does seem frustrating sometimes in today's world that people have to make a phone call to make a booking, but it's just that little bit of care and communication just to make sure that the package is right for each individual client who's booking it. And again, to look at all the options as well. As I said, we have some great selection of hotels in all the cities. Mentioned Lucerne, we've got a couple of wonderful hotels. One called the Wilden Man, which is very much sort of ancient. I think it's 16th century, dating from an old tavern that's kind of grown into this great medieval hotel in the middle of town. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy. Again, all of our staff, all of our sales guys are well traveled and things, so can answer any questions. these are some of the nice things that some publications and things have said about us, which we're very thankful for, of course, as well. And at the end of last year, we were awarded the Best Rail Holiday Company by the British Travel Awards, which we're very happy with, because it's the general public or our customers who vote for them. So we're very happy about that. And if you haven't looked at our website, that's it, railbookers.co.uk. Head to destinations, find the country you want, or Switzerland. You'll see the huge number of Swiss packages we have on there. Again, we've sort of highlighted some of the best sellers for you here, but there's a huge variety on there of many different activities and destinations. And brochures, if you do prefer to have something in your hand, the printer rollers aren't rolling at the moment, sadly, but they will be starting up very soon, hopefully, so we'll be able to get some 2021 brochures out to you. There's Railbookers that's worldwide, there's Via Rail, which is all things Canadian specific, all Canada holidays, and there's our sister company, Amtrak Vacations. If you enjoyed this webinar, there's another one next week and another one the week after. One next week is going to be quite interesting. It's about a lot of new packages that we've been launching over the past few months, closer to home. So some local city breaks in the UK, but also things like Montreux, a city break to Montreux, just staying in Montreux for a few nights. Some local places in France as well. And then there's the following week, the 16th of June, for the top 5 scenic lake holidays. Lots of Italy in there, but also some other interesting, Lake Bled, for example. And don't forget those maps on the handouts bit just below the questions tab as well. Any questions? Yeah, any questions? The questions bar has been really busy, so I'm very sorry I haven't managed to get to your questions until now, but let's have a look. Terry, sort of formal dining cars. Oh, good question. Yeah, it's sad. They've sort of again, they've died out really. The formal side of things. You find a lot of them heading east still. So I mean, I had a great time in Romania many years ago, where they have a dining car there, etc. But it's more the sort of fast food buffet style now. Where you can kind of sit down and have a meal, but it's not going to be given to you by a waiter or a steward or anything like that. In Germany, on the high-speed ICE trains, you can get a great kind of portion of currywurst and a draft beer on some of the ICEs, which is quite novel. But yeah, the traditional sort of waiter style of things, sadly, not too much anymore. Single supplement. Very good question. Yeah, sorry. We don't actually have any pricing for people traveling on their own, on their single passengers on the trips. But again, give us a call. We can price those up. Just it's the way hotels offer their rooms depends. A lot of hotels will have sort of rooms dedicated for sort of single occupancy. A lot of hotels don't. So they'll sort of supplement those rooms that don't. But yeah, give us a call if there's any particular, or drop us an email if there's any particular package you'd be interested in. We'll certainly get that kind of pricing to you, no problem. Brian, good point. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, most of the Swiss packages where you're staying in Switzerland specifically, we make use of a Swiss pass, and it's great. It's the best way of doing it. So Swiss passes, they come in different denominations. So there's a 3-day, 4-day, 8-day, and they can be consecutive or non-consecutive. So whichever way is necessary, we'll make sure we have sufficient Swiss passage in your package to cover all your journeys. Things like the Glacier Express, Bernina Express, GoldenPass. You need to reserve a seat on those trains as well. Those costs are included. For the majority of mountain railways, things like the Jungfrau, the Gornergrat, we include the supplements there. You have to pay as well. So you need your Swiss pass and additional payment, and an additional payment to take those as well. So we have all those included. On the social distancing front, sorry, I should have mentioned the Jungfrau. They have introduced reservations for the final leg, which is the bit into the mountain. So it can get quite busy, the Jungfrau, just due to its popularity, of course. So we include the reservation on the final leg, just so you're not queuing in what could be quite a long queue to get the train to the top. You have a set time. If you decide not to take that set time, because it's completely flexible, you can do that, but obviously you won't have a reservation on the train. Yeah, and I said it's great news. It is great news. Switzerland has said opening up the scenic trains and the scenic kind of cable cars and things. All the cruise operators opening up end of this week, I think it is. So certainly this year, there's certainly scope to be able to go travel to Switzerland by all means later on this year. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for all the questions. I really hope you've enjoyed it. That's us lot in all the offices working from home at the moment. We're all working from home until August, which is very good as well. I think it's a bit of a revolution in the world of work and things like that. But I'm based in York. That's me, if you're interested, bottom left, second in with the 2 little kids. Normally quite helpful, but often quite noisy around the house. And thank you for joining me. That's me in the one of the national parks in the US last year. But yeah, thanks for joining me. I really hope you found it helpful and enjoyable. Enjoy the rest of the sunshine. Enjoy your day, and hopefully hear from you soon. Bye bye.